by General Mills, and they were primed to have someone new to believe in, someone who they could trust.
And Park has an idea for the perfect person.
Duncan Hines was a name that was familiar coast to coast. Everybody knew that Duncan Hines.
Duncan Hines had a bond of trust with the American public.
Hoping to convince Hines to put his name behind his client's products, Park creates mock-ups to show Hines.
Look, I appreciate the interest, but I don't do endorsements.
So, what part of that would apply specifically
These products make creativity accessible to everyone.
Roy Park studied Duncan Hines, this man who was really fastidious, and he realizes people would try to bribe him, they would try to offer him money, and he was appalled. His integrity was something that he held very, very dear to him.
In a sense, what Roy Park was doing is he was creating a patriotic touch to this pitch.
Roy Park manages to talk Duncan Hines into his first product endorsement on behalf of his client, the Farmers Co-op.
Duncan Hines recognized that his name would be associated with food, as it always had been.
So Roy Park does his clients a gesture of partnership with Duncan Hines. Let's work together. And they're not interested. But he's got Duncan Hines. How on earth could they not be interested? It's Duncan frickin' Hines.
And Park knows it's the perfect time to strike. Over at General Mills, the famous Betty Crocker brand hangs in the balance.
They were just about to launch the brand, so now they're waiting to see what the public reaction is going to be.
What's this? Hey, Melba Betty?
Betty Crocker was not a real girl, but she had a heart and she had a soul. Overall, people just accepted that she seemed real enough.
Everyone in America knew Betty Crocker was basically a fake, but America and its women stood by her to the end.
In 1947, Betty Crocker's boxed ginger cake mix hits store shelves, requiring nothing more than a square pan and water. The mix delivers on its promise for a quick and easy cake.
The impact of cake mix on the American kitchen was enormous. It became absolutely clear that it was going to have a big effect on how we think about cake and how we think about baking.
General Mills sells more than 50 million boxes within the first year.
It put baking, this incredibly difficult, incredibly time-intensive science, in the hands of everybody, because everybody can just add water to a cake mix.
Betty Crocker is the undisputed queen of the kitchen.
But she might not be for long when another trusted name in food enters the game. Directly across the Mississippi from General Mills sits their gold medal flour brand's largest rival.
Pillsbury was the other key brand in Minneapolis. They always kind of went head to head with General Mills.
And says, oh, we've got a
Very
cake for
good.
you.
In 1948, Pillsbury introduces the first chocolate-flavored box
Bad.
cake mix.
And now, home cooks have this choice. Should we go ginger, classic, or should we make chocolate cake? And no matter how much you love Betty Crocker, let's be real, it's chocolate cake versus ginger cake.
Pillsbury's chocolate cake mix is an instant hit.
Chocolate still has this air of luxury and decadence. It's something for special occasions to be savored.
Not to be outdone, Betty Crocker follows with their own chocolate cake mix, as well as vanilla. While consumers love the convenience of Betty Crocker and Pillsbury's mixes, there are complaints about sweat and moisture.
Your cake might wind up very dry. It might be cracked on top. It might be a little bit more like sawdust.
Leaving space in the market for someone else to do it better. In 1949, Roy Park pays a surprise visit to Duncan Hines.
After the farmers decided to abandon this project, Roy Park said, gosh, I can still raise the standards of quality food in homes all over America by putting Duncan Hines' name with different products.
But this time, Park has a new proposal.
It's not the same door as I sold you on. When my client's out. But we can do the same thing together. Just give me a moment to explain.
Park hones in on the boxed cake mix market.
With respect, we talked about quality foods. You're talking about boxed cake mix. You can forget it.
We can make it better. Look, what if I said you could have final approval over any product I base your name? Just give me 6 months. That's all I need. If we don't have a product you approve of within 6 months, deal's over. You can walk away.
Hines agrees. But now, Park needs to deliver an impressive boxed cake recipe in 6 months, when Betty Crocker's took years to perfect. It's now 1950, and Roy Park has recruited highly renowned food technicians to come up with a boxed cake recipe that Duncan Hines will approve.
Park pretty much has all of his eggs in one basket at this point. Everything has to work with Duncan Hines or he's left with nothing.
Yeah.
Duncan Hines is going to be looking at the rise of the cake, the presentation, the taste, and the moisture. And he's not settling for anything less than culinary excellence.
Hines doesn't find any of the cakes to be good enough for him to put his name on.
Andre is feeling he's in a no-win situation. Nothing he comes up with is good enough.
But Park's not ready to give up.
16 different recipes. I am out of ideas. It's powdered cake mix. It's not like you can just put the eggs in a
Why can't they add those themselves? Isn't it sort of defeat the purpose? Putting them in my stuff because they're convenient. Doing the Bible stuff because Duncan Hines is the best cake mix there is.
Roy Park is literally freaking out because until Duncan Hines approves something, they don't have a deal.
Just try the real eggs.
Nuestro mundo está lleno de misterios oscuros, envuelto en sombras. Para disipar tales tinieblas, hace falta un guía adecuado. Alguien con una personalidad magnética que irradie confianza y tenga una sobrecarga de curiosidad. ¿Le sorprende que ese sea yo? No se pierdan los electrizantes episodios estreno de Inexplicable con William Shatner. Hitler sabía que estaba perdiendo la guerra. Yo creo que él contrabandeó oro fuera de Europa en submarinos. Y creo saber dónde está. Tenemos 7 objetivos en este mapa. ¿Por qué había nazis en el Caribe? ¿Qué demonios es eso? ¿Seguimos buscando un tesoro o algo más siniestro? Submarinos perdidos de la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Lunes por History Channel. Descubre el mañana. Déjate sorprender. History Tomorrow. La sostenibilidad busca asegurar las necesidades del presente y garantizar la disponibilidad de recursos para las futuras generaciones. El desarrollo sostenible requiere un enfoque que tome en consideración las preocupaciones ambientales, fomentando así una responsabilidad consciente sobre la ecología. Dúo Cusec apuesta a la preservación de los recursos naturales con el impulso de iniciativas que contribuyan a los profesionales del futuro a ser protagonistas del cambio.
La investigación aplicada a la innovación son motores de cambio para nuestra sociedad.
Dúo Cusec, el centro de la innovación, donde cada idea es una semilla de progreso. Dúo Cusec, cercanía, liderazgo, futuro.
¿No hay televisión en tu habitación? No te preocupes. Esta aplicación te ayudará a convertir tu teléfono inteligente en un proyector usando el flash de tu teléfono y puedes reflejar la pantalla de tu teléfono en cualquier lugar. Pruébelo gratis ahora.
Renueva tus espacios todas las veces que quieras, porque con Color
For Arlie Andre, the pressure is mounting to create a cake mix that Duncan Hines will approve. So he and Will Park decide to go against the current convenience trend. And whereas Betty Crocker's mix was just as horrible, Duncan Hines altered his mix such that the homemaker would have to crack in 2 fresh eggs.
The truth of the matter is that fresh eggs taste better than dried eggs. And the idea is your cake is higher and lighter and tastier.
After nearly a full 6 months of trial and error, Duncan Hines finally approves a boxed cake recipe. It's a devil's food cake.
Straight down the barrel. 3, 2, 1.
In 1952, Duncan Hines' first cake in a box hits store shelves. Each box is stamped with his signature, one that becomes an American icon.
Duncan Hines said this was good. That's all they needed to know. They had a hard time keeping the shelves filled in grocery store all over the country.
The plot twist here is that women actually preferred cracking and mixing in the eggs. It makes them feel like they're making a cake from scratch and less like they're cheating or taking a shortcut.
It makes someone who isn't a baker, who is afraid of cooking, feel like they have a bit of culinary skin in the game.
Because of his name and because there was quality difference, Duncan Hines made his way into the top tier of sales.
Their cakes have a lot more flavor and they taste less like a cake mix and more like a nice buttery homemade cake.
Within 3 weeks, Duncan Hines captures 48% of the cake mix market, previously dominated by Betty Crocker. Determined to keep their cake brand on top, the Betty Crocker team studies Heinz cake, hoping to come up with something that can beat it.
It's good. It's really good.
Duncan Hines just jumped into the game and left the industry reeling.
But, honestly, it's really the concept that tastes so good.
Woo!
What?
Marjorie Husted just figured out what the boxed cake market is missing.
Frosting.
In 1954, the team at Betty Crocker fights back with a groundbreaking product. the very first cake in a box to include ready-made frosting. They call it the answer cake.
You might wonder what the question was, but it was really an answer to a complete cake.
It was literally the full package. It came with the cake mix, it came with the cake pan that you bake it in, and it came with some just add water frosting.
Betty Crocker will also release a whipped version of the frosting. Another innovation that galvanizes sales to the tune of $80 million a year.
And frosting, by the way, is not easy to make. You have to perfectly incorporate the sugar into some kind of shortening or butter. Then you have to add flavor. It has to be able to be whipped. You don't want it to just sort of be ambiguous blobs of fat. It has to have balance, and it's not really easy.
Betty Crocker frosting turned an instant cake into a showstopper. One affordable enough to make for any occasion.
This really opened the floodgates to the next level of cake baking.
Cake mixes have become kind of run-of-the-mill. They were not personal. They were not sentimental. But once you added decorating, once you added frosting, once you set the whole cake up to look like a football field and put little peppermint sticks to be the goalpost, you could do all these things. Then it was yours. Then it was the real cake.
Suddenly, you could make a birthday cake, a wedding cake, you want.
The round frosted layer cake became the icon of a cake in the Betty Crocker era. That became the American cake.
Today, Betty Crocker is still the leading name in cake mix, with annual revenues of $337 million. And Duncan Hines is a close second, with annual revenues around $260 million.
The joy of baking with family is now something that every family can share.
To bake a cake from scratch no longer means that you take out the flour, you take out the sugar, and you measure the baking powder. It means you open a box. So cake mix crossed over and became the real thing. It's a remarkable victory on the part of the food industry.
Tonight on The Proof is Out There. Are UFOs attracted to lunar eclipses?
This is a phenomenon that has captivated humans going back centuries.
Are goblins running around Kentucky?
This is a very creepy video, and I've never seen anything quite like this before.
Did the men in black make these mysterious phone calls? And did the passengers in this Jeep attract this lightning?
If that Jeep wasn't electric before, it is now.
Around the globe are videos.
One of those things. It's moving.
Photos and sounds that defy explanation.
We don't know where they come from, who made them, or how they operate.
What are they?
Some sort of bizarre mutation.
What's exciting is nobody really knows.
Extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof.
I'm Tony Harris, and as a journalist for more than 30 years, I follow the facts where they take me. Now I'm bringing back the spirit of investigation to all strangest sounds and images. We'll analyze each one with top experts.
This video was clearly fake.
The Proof starts now. Are aliens drawn to the moon as it passes through the Earth's shadow? Or is it just that more people are looking towards the sky during these astronomical events? Take a look at these next photos sent in by 2 of our viewers and see what you think. It's May 2022 in Carbondale, Colorado. Local resident Richard Wampler has set up his telephoto camera on the top of a nearby hillside to observe a total lunar eclipse.
So as I was looking through the viewfinder, suddenly I saw a green light come into the picture and start moving fast across the screen.
Take a closer look. Just after the eclipse, Richard captured a series of 5 photos showing a long green object approaching and then seemingly passing the moon in only a matter of seconds.
Who knows what it is, but this is really quite unique because of its elongated size.
Richard isn't the only one of our viewers who's gotten photos of an anomaly during a lunar eclipse. During the eclipse of September 2015, Paul Garson snapped this pic of a V-shape in the skies over Los Angeles.
As I look up, I see this cloud, then suddenly the cloud dispersed, and emerging from the cloud is this object, slowly gliding into the air.
If that wasn't strange enough, there's this odd laser-like line seeming to shoot at the craft.
In my opinion, it was one of our Star Wars satellites firing a laser at it.
As for why Richard and Paul happened to see what they saw, one theory involves a web of lines that crisscross the globe connecting ancient markers like Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids. Some argue that these ley lines connecting these monuments contain rivers of supernatural energy that can attract phenomena like spirits and Sasquatch. And as science writer Amy Howard points out, even aliens.
Some believe that if you live on one of the Earth's ley lines, there's an increase in electromagnetic energy during an eclipse, which can be a boost for alien sightings.
At least one purported ley line map shows an intersection of several close to where Richard Wampler took his photo. The belief that eclipses indicate is nothing new. Some indigenous tribes believe that eclipses bring bad luck and can even hurt the unborn children of pregnant women. But do eclipses really attract UFOs? Let's see what our experts have to say about all these sightings. Richard Wampler, the scientific coalition for UAP studies, starts with our LA photo. Does its distinctive shape resemble known aircraft?
There are aircraft that we have in development, like the F-117s, that are basically V-shaped, but the size of them would be enormous. I know not think that we have any aircraft that are miles long that would be up there and confronting.
This does have something to do with an airport, or even multiple things.
We're talking about aircraft, and they create what they call a canal cloud.
Canal clouds, also called bowling clouds, can form when a plane punches into a layer of alveolar causing supercooled water droplets to suddenly evaporate or form ice crystals, leaving strange shapes, sometimes mistaken for UFOs.
And then the laser light is nothing more than a contrail at a higher altitude from another aircraft that was heading generally the same direction.
Okay, so the 2 cloud-busting planes that produced the LA photos. What about Richard's photos of that green streak in Colorado? Could it be something as simple as a satellite? That's what the eclipse makes that unlikely.
Our sky is filled with satellites. And one thing they all have in common is they don't tend to emit their own light, but reflecting sunlight right back down to the sky. Now, during the lunar eclipse, the shadow of Earth is projected right towards the moon. So any satellite that would be in between us and the moon would also be in Earth's shadow.
So since a satellite wouldn't be visible during an eclipse, could this be some other passing spacecraft, a comet or asteroid? Astronomer and video analyst Mark Antonio examines.
Astronomers are extraterrestrial internet comets and asteroids, but this is moving too fast to be any kind of a comet. Meteors are fairly quick. However, this satellite would be very bright, and there would be this flare at the end.
McCarthy thinks he might have cracked this case by drawing a straight line from the photographer's location to the moon itself.
There's a few things that I know specifically about this photo, where it was taken, when it was taken, and what the moon was doing. I was able to figure out that the camera was pointed almost perfectly southeast at 14 degrees above the horizon. I looked on some tracking software to figure out what the flight was doing. What happens, you can actually 2649 Chicago to LAX. It was about 35 kilometers away from the observer at the time. On the right-hand wing, seeing the green light on the wing tip.
Because of the slower shutter speed required at low light, just like these photos of headlights taken at night.
Shot in low light, hence why there's a little bit of motion.
Lunar eclipse anomalies can be blamed on planes. The mysterious V-shape is a cloud canal created by intersecting contrails. The green streak is a plane with a green light on the wing. But if you capture anything cool in the midst of an eclipse, be sure to send it our way. Next we head to the great state of Kentucky, known for its horse racing, its bourbon, and its barbecue. But it's also becoming quite famous for its frequent sightings of both UFOs and goblins. As our next story shows, there's something strange happening in July 15th, Kentucky, 65 miles away from Lexington. A warm summer's day turns to night in the backyard of Dutch Third. Dutch security cameras are on duty when they capture this. A mysterious pale figure appears. It's lanky, yet hunched and lurking near the back garden of a home. The figure moves slowly, carefully, as the teammate looks around for the approaching image gone. Field researchers say
Now, it's worth noting that the town of Moorhead, Kentucky, is certainly the close to In November 21st, 2003, a local psychologist and Virgil Davis, along with his 15 friends, were driving to their home in Moorhead, Kentucky, when they saw this strange glowing object in the sky. And according to the eyewitnesses, this thing actually descended into a field. When the two Davis boys went out to investigate, they heard sounds of a woman screaming, like a woman being, in their words, ripped apart, which prompted them to make a 911 call.
After that 911 call, local law enforcement officers swarmed the area. They found no sign of any woman or a UFO for that matter. But the strange events didn't end there.
So a few weeks after this incident, a crop circle was found about 45 miles south of Moorhead. Based on this additional information, is it reasonable to assume that a woman was actually abducted by aliens? And that's what these boys heard when she was screaming? And if so, can we connect it to this strange video?
For Gerhard, this ghostly gremlin also reminds him of the state's most infamous cryptids, the Kentucky Goblins, which trace back to a famous incident on the Sutton Farm near Hopkinsville in 1955.
According to several eyewitnesses, these strange, short-statured, silvery humanoid creatures appeared on the scene. Very similar to what we're seeing in this video. The Sutton family actually blasted one of these goblins in the face with a shotgun from point-blank range. Literally no effect.
Now, the Hopkinsville Goblins were allegedly connected to a UFO site. Like Roswell. But others suggest Kentucky's goblins don't come from the skies above, but from deep under the ground.
Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky boasts one of the largest cave systems in the country, and it has been speculated that these goblin-like creatures came from deep in the earth.
As you can see, the body of this creature is very humanoid, but when it gets close to these parked vehicles right here, take a look. It appears to be much smaller in scale than your average person. One could even say it is goblin sized. Let's see what our experts think.
to smaller spaces. It doesn't really make sense to me that a being in a cave would have evolved to walk on two legs.
Anatomist Jeff Meldrum tries to determine if this tiny driveway demon could possibly originate from off-world.
It looks otherworldly on the basis of the very uniform appearance of its coloration, its texture. It has very spindly appendages, very the definition of hands or feet.
While the creature is undeniably strange looking, Meldrum doesn't think it fits the profile of the Sutton Farm invaders or the Greys.
I've never seen an eyewitness depiction of a Grey describe that posture. This crouching, skulking figure. Its head to body proportions aren't in line with that stereotypical image. It's not beyond the line of a person in some sort of a costume. The limb proportions don't seem to be out of the range of possibility for a human. I would investigate with people much more knowledgeable about the technical aspects of that sort of a video.
So that's exactly what we did. Taking this video to our forensic video analyst, Michael Prima.
So this video is a camera
Está tan
recording
así
clip
eso.
of another source. Digitally, this is a completely different format than what was originally recorded by the surveillance system. So is this an authentic video? It's inconclusive. We don't have any original properties about the video, and whether or not it's some sort
Our verdict? We're calling it unidentified creature. It certainly could be a hoax, but without more data about the footage, our forensic video analyst couldn't say for sure. Expect to see between 2 and 7 streams each hour on any night of the year. These flashes are the Earth's atmosphere. But there are some who believe that in reality, these meteorites are more than they seem to be. August 31st. Lincoln Ho is hanging out at a neighbor's house watching TV when he sees a bright light flash outside the window. Lincoln later goes home and checks his driveway security footage.
Se me apagó la
That's when he
pantalla.
finds this. An orb of light screams from the top of the frame, plummeting toward the house before vanishing. According to journalist M.J. Manias, this phenomenon have all of the hallmarks of a meteor strike. One thing is missing.
There was no big boom. There was no sound, no explosion, and no one on the news covered a meteor hitting.
A meteor really isn't a meteor. Manias
intelligent life is visiting Earth and it's masquerading using
In 2017, Professor Avi Loeb and others noticed a quarter-mile-long cigar-shaped object that passed through the solar system. It was very 10 times more reflective than typical asteroids, as if it was made of highly polished metal.
¿Cómo quedó eso?
Scouting Hawaiian. Loeb suspected it could have been alien tech. He also insists alien tech hasn't just approached Earth via meteor.
on this planet that alien civilizations exist and they've sent their technology here.
In July 2005, Avi Loeb led a $1.5 million expedition to Papua New Guinea to retrieve meteor fragments he believes came from outside the solar system.
What theorizes that pieces of the debris will be found to be tougher than extraterrestrial craft and not just a meteorite.
Upon sifting microscopic metallic balls from the volcanic material on the ocean floor, Loeb declared them actual evidence of alien tech. If Avi Loeb it would be the monumental discovery of all time. And it might not be that far-fetched. One recent study put the odds of other life in the universe at 50-50. But is this object an interstellar vehicle disguised as a meteor? Or something else entirely? We asked our team of experts to investigate. We begin with video effects designer and astronomer Mark D'Antoni. Could this bright light simply be something conventional? It's every night, like a helicopter or a plane.
The only time that you would see an aircraft of any kind, a helicopter, that you would describe that fast as if it's in serious trouble and about to crash.
No chocolate pressure were recorded in that area. Instead, D'Antonio believes a clue in the video leads to the answer.
The sky is illuminated behind this house, which tells you something important. That's saying that this is an object that's big enough to be beyond these houses, so it's illuminating the sky behind them. And what could possibly be happening to something that we call in astronomy a fireball.
Fireballs refer to meteors so bright they can be seen over great distances. The intense atmospheric friction causes gases around the meteor to compress and superheat, often disintegrating the meteor and leaving little evidence on ground.
Regular, typical meteor you see in the night sky, a quick flash, whoosh, those are the size of a grain of sand. So, yes, it's way bigger than a grain of sand. So you can imagine that the glow created by this is going to be absolutely colossal.
D'Antonio makes a convincing argument, and one that NASA geologist Bob Anderson agrees seems likely at first.
When I first looked at this video, it was almost a dead giveaway that it was a meteor that was coming down. But it's weird to me that there was no sonic boom. The size of this object, the brightness of this object would have created a sonic boom somewhere in the atmosphere.
Our verdict? We're going with unexplained phenomena. While our experts have suggested some very interesting and plausible candidates, there seems to be a heated debate about what we really is. So without a smoking gun, we're going to say, for now, this incident remains a mystery. But what do you think? Hit us up on social media and let us know.
Tuvimos un largo periodo de introducción para conocer al extraterrestre.
Nosotros sabemos que no estamos solos, que estamos solos.
Los extraterrestres llevaron a cabo experimentos aquí en la Tierra. Alienígenas ancestrales. A las 9:05 por History Channel. ¿Historia de qué? ¿En inglés?
Sir, orange juice?
Sí, podemos decir porque uno nunca sabe.
Cool!
Entonces quieres orange juice. Ay, guacho. Tú mejor empieza con los profesores nativos de Open English. Y ese mes uno perderás el miedo al inglés.
Oh, porque abandonan.
OpenEnglish.com.
Conectado por la noche y conectado por el día. Con Altis todos los días. Cuando me ponen el bono de internet, qué alegría. Con Altis todos los días. 2x1 me sirve los 9 y el 9 día. Con Altis todos los días. Lo mejor cobertura para la economía. Llega el prepago más completo del país. El único con fidepuntos que puedes usar para cambiar por paqueticos de internet. Así de simple.
Conectados contigo.
Mi amigo lo veía. Y cuando la vi en persona, era la misma de la foto. No tenía nada que enviarle a las demás.
Descubre la solución completa en herramientas. Uberman. Rendimiento profesional garantizado. Cuando se trata de elegir algo importante, siempre confía en tu instinto.
Siento muy bien, tengo confianza.
Cada decisión te llevará hacia nuevos comienzos. Prepárate a vivir tus propias historias con lo mejor del prime time de History Channel. Presentado por el nuevo Infantil Mamá, que apoya tu nutrición mientras tú apoyas la de tu bebé desde el embarazo.
Buenos Aires, Bucios o Punta Cana, no te pierdas la extensión de Bravo Cero en Viajes Falabella. Es como un Saire, pero de viajes. Los mejores destinos, paquetes todo incluido y en cuotas sin interés. Asesórate con expertos en todos nuestros canales de atención.
It seems like everybody's driving electric vehicles these days, but not the model you're about to see. Prepare to be shocked. It's June 25th, 2021, just north of Waverly, Kansas. Severe thunderstorms and flash flood warnings have been issued for the area, and Carl Hobie is on the hunt.
I am a storm chaser, and I always have a dash cam on my vehicle, so
I was recording.
His video shows a line of cars slowly approaching a rainy intersection. Then out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning strikes the Jeep right in front of Carl. Let's look. It appears that two massive bolts flashed straight through the vehicle, reaching as far as the grassy shoulder.
I just kind of froze. I just kind of sat there, and I'm wondering if these people are
strokes, and yet somehow the passengers inside of this SUV got not one, but two lightning strikes. So how is that possible?
And why did the lightning strike this car twice, no less? Could the people themselves have
Some people actually are more prone to being struck by lightning than your average person. One very famous example was the park ranger Roy Sullivan, or as he came to be known, the Spark Ranger.
Sullivan was hit by lightning an astounding 7 times. Once while he was driving in his car, and twice was when he was trying to outrun a storm, leading him to believe lightning was almost chasing him.
The question to ask is, why him?
Some speculate that having a high iron content in your blood can make you more susceptible to lightning, since metal is conductive. Could that be the case here? We haven't been able to contact the people in the car hit by lightning, so we weren't able to hear their side of the story. Instead, we turned to our experts to see if we could truly lightning. We start by what typically happens to people who survive lightning strikes.
Usually, lightning strikes result in shoes getting blown off or jewelry getting soldered together. Now, a less common occurrence is what we call the Lichtenberg figure. Oftentimes, it looks like roots that have been implanted into the skin of the person.
But do some individuals actually attract lightning? Why was Ranger Roy such a target? Scientists don't believe his iron level will make a difference, since the iron in blood is bonded inside hemoglobin molecules that don't conduct electricity. Hernandez suggests it's a matter of vocation and location.
He was a park ranger out in Shenandoah National Park, and that put him outdoors quite a bit. When you're outdoors, you're at risk of getting struck by lightning. Now, the park gets about 35 to 45 thunderstorms per year.
In the stormy region, Sullivan sometimes worked in an elevated fire tower, which is where he was officially struck the first time while fleeing a lightning fire in the station. And as for his family in the electric vehicle, in this case, Hernandez says the lightning is drawn to this vehicle instead of the taller trees around it for a simple reason: conductivity.
Wood is not as conductive as metal, so lightning is highly more likely to hit a car versus a wood tree in this case. A safe place during a thunderstorm because it can act like cozy ones where you can be safe from electric fields inside of the vehicle, even if the outside of the vehicle experiences a dramatically high electric field, such as a lightning strike. Current travels around the skin of the vehicle's protective metal without going inside the car.
And Hernandez says he can see the exact moment the current is grounded.
If you pay attention, you'll notice that there's smoke that comes out off the right.
This lightning strike was a natural phenomenon, almost terrifying. And as for the family inside, we can say they all survived with no major injuries, thanks to the Faraday cage effect. We just hope there aren't more Spark Rangers.
Juan era muy terco. Una vez que tenía una visión en su cabeza, no podías detenerlo.
cámaras es reconocido en todo el mundo.
La cámara multiplano, sonido sincronizado, Technicolor, todo se une por primera vez. En toda nuestra
Y están allí para lo que los necesites. Más que una compañía de seguros, somos una comunidad de más de 1.700 Cuando tomes la decisión más importante, recuerda.
Al momento de elegir quién quiere a tu lado.
¿Sabías que el helado existe desde hace 3000 años? Y fue en Italia donde perfeccionaron su rica cremosidad. Por suerte, no debes viajar hasta Europa para sorprenderte con su sabor. Con el extractor de jugos de Royal Prestige, además de jugos, también puedes preparar helados de forma natural en la comodidad de tu hogar, para sorprender y consentir a tu familia, amigos o disfrutarlos tú mismo. Royal Prestige, nunca dejas de sorprenderte.
Buenos Aires, Bucios o Punta Cana. Estación de Plaza, viajes para Vela. Es como un baile, pero de viajes. Los mejores destinos. Todo incluido y en cuotas sin interés. Haces cosas y todo artesanal.
Cemented actor Will Smith's status as a global superstar. But tales of real-life Men in Black go back decades. Most evidence of their existence is just anecdotal. But one of our viewers says he's not only spoken to the Men in Black, he's got them on tape. Take a listen. It's February 8th, 1993 in Long Island, New York. Gary Sandberg has come all the way from Texas to visit his parents. Here's Frankenstein. A raspy, panicky voice speaks to him. The conversation is on, with the person on the other end repeatedly asking.
I was just pretty much shocked, you know. About 7 seconds into the phone call, I decided to hit the record button on the answering machine because it was extremely unusual.
UFO lore says that the Men in Black are this shadowy group of individuals who direct people to not discuss any strange encounters they have. They order them to stay quiet, and they threaten them with horrible acts of violence if they do start talking about the things that they've seen.
When a man named Harold Dahl allegedly saw a UFO on Maury Island, Washington. Dahl became a man in black suit visitor. Now, Gary told us he has never seen a UFO, but his dad had years before. Sent his recordings to news channels and even a private investigator. But no one could identify what was seen. So can this case finally be cracked? Our experts answer the call.
Nothing that I hear in the calls is suggestive of the Men in Black. My first impression is that the caller on the other line is actually using a pre-recorded message in its replies, because there doesn't seem to be the back and forth flow you would expect from